today I'm going to cook up some of my favorite recipes. These recipes I make usually a couple times a month. Sometimes I make them more depending on how fast I go through them. I'm just really in a mood to get cooking and stock up on some of my favorite things. So first I'm going to go and walk over to Kroger. There's one really close nearby. And I'm just going to get some things that I don't have for the recipes. So I'll go pick those up and I'll come back and then I'll start cooking. I walked over to Kroger and picked up the ingredients I needed for all the cooking today. I picked up mostly produce like mushrooms and potatoes and onions. I also saw a lot of vegan options too that I've never seen before. I saw this cauliflower spicy queso dip and another cauliflower buffalo dip, this dairy-free chocolate raspberry frozen dessert bar, a vegan Caesar, and ranch. I didn't pick those up today, but I will definitely try them at some point. So then I got home from grocery shopping, and here are some of the ingredients that I got today. It's really easy to make these quiches. First, you just have to pick out which veggies you want to add, and then after that, you just cook up whichever vegetable you want to have cooked. I always start off by just sauteing some onions and garlic with olive oil, and then I added the rest of the veggies. And when you're all done cooking up your veggies, you can go and make your tofu batter. In a food processor or blender, just blend up a block of tofu and add all the spices you want. And when the batter was done, I just folded in the cooked veggies along with the shredded carrots. And then I portioned it into a muffin tin. Just make sure you spray your muffin tin beforehand with some oil. I put them in the oven at 375 for about half an hour, and then this is how they look. Because you can see they are packed with veggies, and they're so flavorful, and they're really, really yummy. I had some for lunch that day, and then I also had some for breakfast the next morning. And this is what my breakfast looked like. So the quiches turned out really good, and I'm excited to start making some queso. This queso is made with cashews and other vegetables like potatoes and onions, so I'll be showing you how to make that. I measured out the cashews. This batch of queso makes a really big amount, so I just did a half batch. Usually it's a full cup of cashews, but I just did half a cup of cashews. And then I poured some boiling water over them and I let them soak. As long as it's around 4 hours, it should be good. Just make sure your cashews are nice and soft. And then I chopped up the onions and garlic and I grated the potato. And then I cooked them all in a pan and I added the spices, some water, and you just cook it until the potato is nice and soft. Again, in a food processor or blender, just blend all that you cooked up and then add in your spices, a little more water, some salsa, a little vinegar, and I added in another hot sauce because I just like it a little spicy, so I added some sriracha to it. And it's so good on sandwiches, it's good in salads or with chips and nachos and quesadillas or in burritos. It's so yummy. And that day, the last thing I made was the cookies. So again, I just put all my ingredients on the table. And then just like any cookie recipe, you just really measure out the dry and wet ingredients. So I started off with the dry, and I measured them all and whisked them all together until they were combined. And then I did the wet. The wet has sugar, brown and white, some vanilla, applesauce, and coconut oil. With the coconut oil, it's best to use room temperature or slightly warm coconut oil. If it's too cold, it's thick and it won't mix well. And then I just combined the wet and the dry, and I added the chocolate chips, and I mixed them all up together. I like to use chocolate chunks, and I like to use the mini chocolate chips. I always think cookies taste better if you put the cookie dough in the fridge overnight, because I think the flavor just continues to develop and taste even better. So I'll be doing that, and then tomorrow I will bake them and Parker and I will try them. So I just toasted these up in the toaster oven. So we're gonna try out the cookies. Which cookie do you want?
The best one.
They both look good. Maybe that one.
That's not the best one.
This one's the best one.
The best one.
Look at that lump right there.
Look at these bite right here.
Is this what they look like? Ooh. I'm so excited. Okay. Cheers.
Pretty good, pretty good.
So chocolatey. I think every time I make them, they always turn out a little bit different, like the texture. And I think it's just because of the oven that I use. So this time it's a little more like poofy.
I like the poof.
In the other oven at our old apartment, they were a little flatter.
Oh, sorry. Which one is mine?
I think that one's yours.
Scrumptious.
So what would you rate these? Out of 10.
1.
That'd be the highest.
10.
Alright. Thank you so much for watching this video.
Catch you on the next one.